can hear the fire crackle, and soon I will see it. My thanks, Ashen One. I will finish the painting of a cold, dark, and very gentle place, so that it might make a home for someone someday. My thanks, so that it might.
The crackling from here, the sound of my home, the painting of Arendelle, burning away. When the world rots, we set it afire for the sake of the next world. It's the one thing we do right, unlike those fools on the outside.
Oh my god, guys. I'm so sorry. I just realized that I've been off my volume this whole time. My apologies to everyone. You've been just listening to me silent. I forgot. I thought I clicked it, but apparently I didn't. Alright, so let me just sum up everything that you guys missed. I was saying, hello everyone. I was showing off that I haven't forgotten about Patches there. It was so great to see you guys. Okay, we're gonna go now beat Friede today. I promise that we'll do that. Okay, we're gonna go and do it. Woo! We're going to the fight. We're gonna make it clean. Yeah! We did it! It's all going clean. First phase. Okay, second phase. Gotta get through it. By the way, I changed up my Estus, so that way I would have one extra healing Estus, because I think I have enough on the Ashen Estus. So that should be good. Oh, wait a second. Plot twist. I ran out of Estus during the third phase, so now I have to fight Friede with just my melee. Well, that's okay. It's only a little bit of HP, so I just gotta be careful. I got 6 more Estus flasks. Wonderful. Okay, we're going into the fight. Woo, 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 woo. Careful, 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 careful. Okay, last hit. She is down. Woo! I can't believe I ran out of Estus. I guess I miscalculated. Oh, wait a second. I still had my Slumbering Dragoncrest ring and my Lingering Dragoncrest ring on. No wonder my Pyromancy ran out with my Estus ran out before my Pyromancy killed them. I wasn't doing enough damage. No! Woo! This is awful. Okay. Well, now we can see, as shown with the painter, that she's the painter's doing her thing upstairs. She wants to use the Dark Soul in order to create the next world, an immortal world. Meanwhile, while we come over here, we can see how this guy's reminding us how, unlike the outsiders who cling to fire to try to preserve the current world, they're willing to let fire go and burn this world, so the next world will be painted in the colors of dark. And then I saw that Peter John had a question. I was answering. Well, the answer to let me just repeat the question from the start for you guys. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. Apologies. I did not realize that I had my microphone off. Oh God, I muted it. No. Thank you. Thank you. If you ever have suspicions of that in the future, please tell me right away so we don't go 20 minutes with me just playing the game silently. I am so sorry. Yeah. Okay, anyway, to answer the question from Peter John. Loki, if traces of humanity are subject to stagnation, producing plants and roots, why do you think the blood of the Dark Soul hasn't experienced a similar effect? 2 possibilities come to mind for me. One, the idea that because there's so much Dark Soul, it's such a high concentration that sort of it has this compounding effect, which means that it doesn't stagnate as readily, for example. Similar to, say, if we got, say, a Lord Soul. Now, we don't have a Lord Soul for comparison, unfortunately, but again, let's just say that maybe we would see something similar happen with a Lord Soul, because it's this massive disparity of a certain affinity similar to the Dark Soul. So that might be the case. So therefore, their blood isn't stagnating because the Dark Souls from which the blood stems isn't stagnating yet. It's just too much Dark Soul. It's too big masses. The other option I can see is the possibility that because of the way the Ring City has been put in sort of stasis, even after that stasis is released, not enough time has passed for that stagnation to occur. Like, it has to occur on its own, independent of what we see happen to the rest of the city when it's sort of fast-forwarded, or I guess I should say corrected to how it should be in the absent the magic keeping it in stasis. So those are the 2 thoughts I have, but I haven't really thought this through too hard to really give you like a firm answer, because unlike, say, stuff like Shira, Midir, or Leto, most of Ring City and Ariandel I haven't committed to writing because I haven't thought through them in their entirety as thoroughly as I would like. Like I said, parts of it I can. I do have some posts. I'm trying to do as many of those posts as I can on the website that I can sort of excise from the main subject, but there's still like a lot of stuff that I may be somewhat shaky on. Anyway, that covers it all. So again, thank you guys. I appreciate you giving me the feedback once again. I'm so sorry. But anyway, we know what's wrong, so we shall head back to Firelink Shrine, deal with our souls, and everything will be golden. Now, I don't think this will affect my thing with Rosaria, so... Cirrus! I don't know why you're mad at me. Rosaria is dead. I killed her servant. Look. There. She's gone. She's done. Her covenant is over.
I see that you are now a finger of Rosaria.
Why don't you understand, you goddamn God-loving zealot? Ree! Ay, ay, ay. Maybe she'll go off and die if we kill twin princes, but I doubt it. Ay, ay, ay. Alright, we lost, Orbeck. We can go see him when we come back for twin princes. What else do I need to worry about? Friede? Okay, this has to be enough. Oh, that's definitely enough. Yeah. Okay, sure. Firekeeper? Yeah. Alright, we're going back to the old plan now. Upping my faith, because more pyromancy, more power, more pyro. More pyro. But yeah, now I have a working mic, right guys? Let me double check. Hello? Yes? Yeah, okay. It does say my mic is working on my end, so. I was scared. Didn't want to go through the explanation a second time. Last time on Loki Plays Dark Souls 3. Ay, ay, ay. Let us... Oh, yeah. What do we got for transposition? So, of course, the whip that, the flail, bring me my flail, that, Ariandel used, made from seemingly Corvian, talons, giving us the idea that, yes, he is very much aware of what is happening down in the town, and he is very much okay with it. This also means that we can't say that Friede is ignorant either, because, of course, she's the one that apparently can bring and take away his flail. The Friede giveth, and the Friede taketh away. Again, just for the point of getting the blood, And then there's, of course, Friede herself. Again, she adopts this in order to suit them because it reminds them of Priscilla. We can see, of course, again, she uses the magic blade for the ice. She's also, of course, got the dark blade from her soul. Speaking of, Friede has a rather unique soul. This soul, clearly, much like Deep Souls, seems to be a mixture of a normal soul, but steeped in dark power. We also see how she has a dark flame smoldering within, which she unleashes in the final, in her final efforts in order to take us down. Yeah, so she was the first Ash and chose Rod over Fire. Now, if I recall, Yuria has something to say.
Ah, our lord and liege. 'Twas the soul of my sister, Elfrida. A poor wench turned to ash, who would abandon Londor. If thou wouldst, let it nourish thy lordship, and in return do her one small kindness. Remember those who stayed by her to the end, in the shadows cast by fire. And lastly, my lord, take up thy rightful mantle of usurper.
Now, of course, she wants to honor her sister, but also, of course, fulfill what they worked on initially together. Friede, of course, seems to have turned to ash. Now, this is, of course, curious, because it begs a question. How did she become an unkindled? Again, she was already hollow, because she became one of the founders for the Sable Church of the Country of Hollows. So that part isn't in question. Oh my god, shut up, doggy. What is in question, however, is, did she go and link the fire? If so, how did a girl of Londor go and link the fire without anyone noticing? It's also very curious because we see that despite her paintings portraying her as immaculate, Friede in real life, beneath her hood, we can see is clearly burned on one eye in the face. This is extremely strange because obviously what we see with most unkindled is that they're completely fine. There aren't any burns or anything. They're just ash reconstituted by the undead curse. It usually doesn't leave burns. This leads to a lot of questions about what exactly is going on with her, that she is not only ash but also has a burn scar. Is that from before she became hollow or afterwards? Questions, questions. Adding to that, of course, is the question of if she is unkindled ash, did she actually go and link the first flame, or attempt to at least, and become ash, at which point she should have been buried here in the areas. Now, maybe we could believe that Yuria, being that she's hiding out over in Firelink Shrine just over there. Oopsie, gotta add my thing back. Let's fix that. There we go. So Friede, given that she's hiding just over there, is there something going on with her so far as maybe freeing her sister from her coffin early and doing so? There's a lot of variables here to consider. The most important for me, though, is the possibility that maybe Londor turned her into ash themselves, or that it was completely accidental, as in she got burned, and it just so happened from something, and she happened to turn to ash as a result after that, thanks to her curse. That, of course, has an interesting implication. Given we would have to ask that not only is it possible for other sources besides the first flame to turn you into unkindled ash, which again is theoretically possible, but again, we only ever see it in this game first and in this context, so never been proven, quote unquote. And also gives the idea that maybe Londor was experimenting with different things with the unkindled ashen one. Were they trying to turn Friede into a Lord of Hollows artificially, perhaps? Again, lots of things to consider, lots to sparse, but I think that's enough food for thought. Loki, what do you think are the lore implications of Vendrick's blessed crown preventing hollowing? In terms of lore implications, I don't think it's that much. I think it's just, you have 3 crowns with traces of the souls of powerful kings. So even if those are just mere traces, it's still going to be a whole lot of soul power. Vendrick seems to collect those souls and combine them into, I forget if it's like a unique crown, or if it's his crown, or another crown, or what have you. But anyway, they combine it into all that power into one crown. He does like his little magically woobly wah, and then with that crown, it's able to take as surrogate for the curse. So the implication would be that with all that soul power being gathered together, the undead curse, essentially you won't hollow no matter how much you die, because those souls, that power will be taken in surrogate of your own. Now, obviously, mechanically, that's not how it works. You're still going to lose your souls because that's how the game works and yada yada. But that seems to be the concept. In order to essentially free you from the negatives of hollowing, you have this crown which will sort of take your place, like a ring of sacrifice, as it were, right? Because again, ring of sacrifice, again, canonically, we don't die and respawn at bonfires, so stuff like rings of sacrifices don't work the way that their game mechanics do. But we right, I don't have one because I lost it because I'm an idiot. Rings of sacrifice, the concept behind the ring of sacrifice is that it takes the place of you when you're death. But it would be incredibly broken if we had Sekiro-like mechanics, where in Sekiro, of course, you could you can die on the floor and then you get back up, and the game is balanced around that. Obviously, Dark Souls wasn't balanced with that idea in mind, despite that being more closely accurate to the lore. So, instead, we see the concept of, okay, you'll just die, but we'll just negate any of the downsides of what dying is, besides you having to run back to the boss or the enemy or what have you, right? So it's effectively you not dying, quote-unquote. But again, that's not how the game works. Again, similar to how, like, sometimes you will have you died, but you don't really die, you're just captured and moved or to some location or something. Like, again, you see this in Bloodborne, you see this in Dark Souls 1 with Seath. That's like the first instance of them trying that type of concept out and things like that, so yeah. But yeah, that's the point. That's my position there with Vendrick's crown. Non-Dark Souls 3 questions. I am shocked, but pleasantly, I'm just pleasantly surprised. Sister Friede. Again, you guys, you can ask me whatever questions you really want for the most part. I may like trying to pass it off, especially if it's like 2 Abyssal Archive located, because again, Abyssal Archive goes in all the gory details, but more than happy to hear questions on Dark Souls 2 or 3 that are related. Let us go to the Dreg Heap. Hey, Loki. Hey, it's me, James. Now, the Dreg Heap. Now, as the stagnation progresses, this is the inevitable future. The future. Copy-pasted assets. I see that won't change. Alright.
Oh, your head's square on your shoulders, is it?
I'm saying.
I thought that clambering tin can was the last. But here we go again.
Foreshadowing lap.
What is it you want from this old Stone-Humped Hag? I've nothing for you, not a smithereen. I just like to stand here and take in the view.
Sure. I have business with you.
Well, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You think an old Stone-Humped Hag would be brimming with goodies?
Yeah, give it to me, honey.
I've none of that. Not a smithereen.
Do it. Do it. Alright. We meet the Stone-Humped Hag. We will talk about her inventory soon enough. So how do we get in the future?
Keep your marbles intact, love. At least.
Alright. So how do we get in the future? Because this is DLC and we have to access it, and they want to have us quality of life feature access it straight from Ariandel. That's the serious answer. For another answer, the idea is that we're just exploring during the period when we go to the future post what's it called? Post ritual with all the cinders and all that stuff. That's how we would normally do it, because again, we go to the future through that ritual, and then from there we have access and we can kind of do our climbing and exploring around and all that. Because I haven't even lit this yet, right? Yeah. So it's not like this is a lit bonfire that happens to be here, no. As for the idea of how are we using bonfires to go from past to future, that's always been a thing. Again, warping with the bonfire, even in the same time period, like you just going, okay, I want to go from here to here, is still you essentially traveling great distances within a few seconds. That is bending space and time. So the idea, and similar to what we see in, say, the Dark Souls 1 DLC, where you take a bonfire, at least conceptually, you take a bonfire in the DLC and then go back to the base game in the present and vice versa. So again, the idea of you time traveling with bonfires isn't that crazy. You just have to be you just have to be able to, again, have a lit bonfire that you can imagine going to. Now again, as we talked about previously, what bonfires canonically exist are hard to determine, because obviously they are so much a checkpoint game mechanic that will be spawned and appear at random. So for instance, when you defeat a boss, oh hey, was that bonfire always here? Just sort of appears, and very conveniently, always when a boss is around. Funny how that works, right? So, again, so most of these are probably non-canonical, and we have to imagine that there's probably just a case of, we don't want to show our character going through a cutscene that we have to animate of him trudging randomly around where we fade to black and then he appears here, right? Just gonna instead have it be, okay, just take the bonfires, you can fill in the gaps. Okay, so how does the ritual send you to the future? That we'll talk about when we get to it, but the short answer is it's using the embers of the Lords of Cinder plus Lothric in order to essentially bring us to the first flame in the Firelink Shrine in the future. Again, it's very, dare I say, it's very convoluted, and this is where I have some criticisms for Dark Souls 3's main plot, because, like, really, this is your emergency system. This is what you do when all else fails. This is your idea. There literally was no simpler way you can do this. You had the whole wormhole in Dark Souls 1, you had the throne teleporter in Dark Souls 2, but you're like, nah, we're just gonna do this. And it's such a bizarre and unnecessary system, in my opinion. So this is where I think Dark Souls 3's plot really kind of trips over itself. But again, we'll get to it more when we get to the actual, that part of the game. Yo, Loki, it's ultimate stagnation time finally. Yeah, Pantaray, you should have seen me beat, go back earlier in the VOD, you'll see me beat Friede. Friede, in silence, because I didn't realize my mic was muted. I'm a moron, I'm stupid. Listen, I write for Dark Souls lore, not live streaming. Anyway, let's get to the hag again. She, of course...
Strange little lad you are. What on earth do you see in me?
I don't know. There has to be something sexy under that hood. I mean, just look at those hands. Clearly a supermodel.
At the close of the Age of Fire, all lands meet at the end of the earth. Great kingdoms and anemic townships will be one and the same. The great tide of human enterprise, all for naught. That's why I'm so taken by this grand sight. This must be what it's like to be a god.
Alright.
Oh, if you just can't stop yourself, at least hear this.
Well,
Far below, there's a deep, dark hole carved out of a tree.
okay.
From time to time, voices brim from the depths of the cavity, even now.
Okay.
Mutterings of the very demon that Prince Lorien spoke of, I'm sure. Horrible sounds of an afflicted thing, yet cursing men. Keep your marbles intact, love.
Gotcha, Granny. I don't think there's also a real reason as to why we have to reach the future First Flame. Why can't we just reach the one in Lothric's time? Exactly. There's a huge hole in the narrative in that it doesn't explain why why this is the only method that has to be exhausted. So the method itself already sounds like there has to be a better way to do this. And then even if you say, okay, fine, this is how you have to do this, there's no better way, you still have to ask yourself, okay, but why do we need to? Why can't we just say, find the First Flame through a more conventional solution? Surely you found a better way to get in there, because this is for the emergency system. You're not just, like, raising Lords of Cinder every time you need to link the fire or whatever. That's woefully inefficient, obviously. So, there was an idea in Dark Souls 3 where there was a cut area called, many people call it God's Graves. I translate it as Divine Graves, just for the sake of, you know, a little localization flair for simplicity's sake. But, okay, the idea is that there's this place called Divine Graves. The idea was it was going to be a cemetery. You can read my entire post on it on Lothric Bridge, because I discuss it on the idea of Lothric Bridge originally wasn't going to be necessarily possible. Well, I guess I shouldn't say this for sure, but seems like it wasn't originally planned to be a bridge for the main gate. There was definitely a time where it was pointed at the main gate, but then it was pointed again to the right of it, as we see later. And it's pointing in a direction of where an area was likely going to be. Now, we don't know what the plan exactly was for this area, because it looks like it was cut around the time that the bridge was moved, too. So it's possible they were just going to leave that area to exist by implication before they decided that, nah, we're really going to make it actually the main gate to Lothric. And then it was too late to obviously move it back. But the implication seems to be that it was going to be the graveyard for the Lords of Cinder. So instead of the graveyard being with the unkindled ones, and obviously we don't see those parts of the graveyard in-game, the idea would be, okay, the most of the Lords of Cinder would be buried here in this grave, and it would be kind of like overlapping with the Cemetery of Ash. Because again, going by where Lothric Bridge is pointed, it would literally be located. This graveyard area would be located right in front of the cemetery, and maybe even there was plans for a shortcut or something to connect them from this point or whatever. Anyway, the point is, we can see how this cemetery area, which is in like this forest, this heavy, dense forest, would lead seemingly into the mountain of Lothric and deep underground. And at the end, the boss we would face there is Osseros. Now, again, Osseros, of course, his whole thing is linking the fire. That's his whole character, that's what his dialogue's all about. Everything for that boss is about, sort of getting his quote-unquote Ocelot to be the next fire linker. And it's clear looking at all the other assets in Lothric, even at this point in development, that Lothric was always planned to be a country dedicated to fire linking and the gods and all that have you. So the point seems to have been, okay, we're going to go deep, we're gonna go deep underground, and then we're gonna find Osseros there, and maybe it was gonna be something like, there's where the gate to the first flame would be, right? So that would be his normal way of getting there, and so that's why Osseros went down there. But then, for whatever one reason or another, maybe it's because of the high wall concept or what have you, it was gonna be blocked and inaccessible. And that is my best explanation for what the plan was. The idea was going to be you were going to find the way, either by implication, but directly seeing, or just pure implication by just having the bridge there and various other stuff. And it was going to be, okay, that is where you're going to find where the normal route to the first flame would be. It would be under Lothric, and so therefore, much like in past games, where we find it under Drang Lake, or under Lordran, or what have you, under Anor Londo and stuff, the idea would be, okay, we're going to make sure that we create some route that's going to basically be inaccessible, and thus the rest of the plot must happen, whatever we do with it. And that's what I think was the idea in mind. Again, it's hard to confirm, but this is the best I've been able to piece together using all the stuff and what we know about the game and how the narrative is playing out and all that. Again, read my Lothric Bridge post. It will go into all the details about that for the full reasoning. It's because time is convoluted, I imagine. Time is stagnating a little, but very key differences. Yeah, but yeah, that's the problem that we're dealing with. Anyway, what we see in the final game, of course, is us basically coming here. This is the future where the Age of Fire is, again, imminent end. We can see the eclipse right over there, same as before. Dark is coming together, and what we've seen with Lothric, with the lands quote-unquote converging, they're all drifting and stagnating around Lothric, we see this has now hit overdrive. All these places are copy-pasted assets of Lothric, low-quality assets at that. But as we can see, it's just like copy-pasting the same assets from Lothric Castle, but from what the dialogue of the Hag indicates, these are not supposed to be like, again, some people who would subscribe to the multiple world theory would be like, oh, these are just different versions of Lothric, all like crammed together at random. No, it seems like the intention is for this to be different kingdoms, different cities and castles and places. We'll also see a bit of the undead settlement copy-pasted on the lower reaches of the background. That'll be easier to see as we continue on. But there seems to be the idea of just all these different towns, villages, lands, cities, all being crammed together. Now, some of these don't necessarily all come from the land from the present era. These may come from different periods of time that, again, they've been dragged in the stagnation across time and space to this point. Again, we will see this as we go forward, ideas of this play out. But, yeah, as we can see, everything is turning to ash. We'll see a lot more ash piles and everything that everything's sort of embroiled in. Because, again, as the stagnation has continued, more and more is being burned up by the flame as it continues burning through the universe itself. Again, much like what we see with the painting world, except, again, the painting is supposed to be burned up. The first flame is not supposed to be burning up this world. Because, obviously, there's no real world once this world is all burned to ash. This is the real world. Anyway, as you can see, it includes trees and basically anything. Now, the Hag makes a point here, as a pilgrim of Londor, that this is almost makes you feel like you're a god standing over creation, as everything sort of comes together. And again, if you look closely, you can see some of those assets continuing to move down. We can see how everything goes from a high point down to a low point, and everything's being dragged down to an epicenter there. And what we're looking for is at the bottom.
Strange. What?
Yeah, okay.
At the cloak.
Yeah.
Oh, if
Yeah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, who is the Hag? Several things to note. She has rusted coins. Again, recall, we talked before about this being Lothric currency and profane capital currency, but there's no other connection to the profane capital. We also find this Eastern sword, which again, makes sense. We can imagine that Eastern weapons would end up in the Dreg Heap for her to collect and resell. So that's not surprising. Probably also a leftover. They couldn't find another place to put this, so they put it here, if I had to guess. Rusted coins, again. So, maybe someone from Lothric. Divine blessings, hidden blessings. Again, gifts from Guinevere. So someone who is involved in Lothric religious center. And then, yeah, embers and stuff. Do we have... Oh, we don't have her ashes. Now, okay. Now, if you get her ashes, you'll notice that her ashes have her wear the ring of the High Priestess on her finger, which tells us that she is, most likely, or I should say she was a high priestess like Emma and the Shrine Handmaid. However, while the Shrine Handmaid was likely the wet nurse to Osseros, and Emma is the wet nurse to Prince Lothric, that leaves only one more prince in need of a nanny, and that would be, of course, Prince Lorien. Conveniently enough, she mentions Prince Lorien. Also conveniently, Prince Lorien is referenced as royalty in the localization of her ashes. However, in the Japanese, he's referred to as a quote-unquote nobleman. Now, you might say, well, this is weird. If he's royalty, why are they calling him as mere nobility? Again, recall when we were talking about with the Sun Princess ring, how to... Where is it? Alright, it's in there. Remember when we were talking about with the Sun Princess ring, the idea that Guinevere, she was a wife and mother with Flan to the dancer and Rosaria, and then she became later on a mother to quote-unquote heavenly children. And the term for heavenly here was the same term for nobility, but it can denote sacrality. So the idea that, you know, I translate this as exalted. So, the idea is like, okay, she had exalted children. She had heavenly, you know, children that worth raising up, and makes sense because, again, she's a god, so if she has children with a human, they're going to be more holy. They're going to be, again, demigods, essentially. So it makes sense to give that doing there. See right there at the bottom how the localization, again, localization mixes up, so it kind of implies as if the wife and mother thing is related to her having the heavenly children, but no, this is about her bearing new children later on separately. I really love this area and the whole concept of this final stage of stagnation, but man, it's really convoluted why we are in this in the first place. I see what you mean. It makes sense. Yeah, exactly. That's the problem. I agree. This is one of the issues with Dark Souls 3 being so accommodating to be quality of life, compared to, like, say, Dark Souls 1, where if you kill a Covenant person, that Covenant's gone. You're not getting their services. You're not using it. You screwed up. You messed with the Covenant. Those are the consequences. Then in Dark Souls 3, it's like, who cares if they're dead? We can still use the services. Oh, Rosaria got her soul stolen? Don't worry. We know you really want to get that, reallocate your stats, so we're not going to stop you. You're going to be able to still do it, even though she's dead. So, like, you kind of just have to accept that. Dark Souls 3 is one of the games where gameplay is trumps lore most often, compared to all the others. Because while all the other games may do it out of necessity, or because there's certain lore concepts they want to express that kind of don't jive with other aspects of the game, this one's more a case of, hey, we want to make a smooth experience for the player, especially after the travesty that is Dark Souls 2. But again, this is not a Dark Souls 2 hate stream. So, the point being, of course, is that that this old hag's ashes are indicating how Lorien is a quote-unquote heavenly child, which again is further connecting him to the Sun Princess ring, which again mentions those heavenly children. So again, there's this idea that, of course, the Queen of Lothric is Guinevere. As we can see here, we see good old Gale. Now, one thing to note about Gale is we see that his messages have souls of others emanating, skulls cursed, seemingly. Very scary red that we often see associated with dark powers. So it looks like there are souls, and maybe dark souls, which are very resentful, whom he has collected, and is being expressed in the messages. Now, presumably he is leading us down, because... Well, we'll talk about it later when we get to that point. We should continue on, so we're not just stuck up here. Do I want anything from you? No. So here we go. We follow Gale's advice to continue pressing down. Here we will see how Aldrich foresaw. Now keep in mind, Aldrich learns that the Age of Fire is an emergency situation and decides, okay, I'm out, I'm leaving. Gonna just chill at the cathedral again, chowing down on people until you guys get this all worked out. Oh, I'm being dragged into the deep. No! Before I forget. Oh, I gotta... Oh, whoopsie. So much to correct here. There we go. Anyway, so Aldrich, he foresaw the, he didn't have a literal vision, but he seems to have been smart enough to put two and two together and think, hey, in the current situation with Prince Lothric not linking the fire, eventually the world is just gonna slowly eventually reach an Age of Dark, and by the time that Age of Dark happens, it will be an Age of Stagnant Dark, because all the dark will stagnate. As we see here. Again, the DLC is proving that Aldrich was correct in his assumption that yes, the world will become an age of the deep seas, as it were. We see these other people, now that Aldrich is dead, are mastering they are studying the deep as they are left in this pile of ash. And this deep that they find buried in the ash is turning them into those hollowed out monstrosities. Now again, we see some ruins of Lothric here, one of the wyverns. This one not turning to ash quite yet. Elden Ring at least is on the same level as 3 in this regard. Yes, I'm sure Elden Ring has a lot of stuff where it's very obvious they're doing things for quality of life features and not for lore. And we're just gonna have to live with it. You bastard, why? There we go. There we go. We just faced a Herald Legion. Now, one of these Herald Knights are essentially they were going after the Dark Soul, as we are currently. The point being is that they ended up corrupted by the Abyss, and as we can see, their heads are gone, and now it's replaced with an abyssal hole. They've been completely hollowed out and are just basically the Abyss in armor. Now here, we see someone had unfortunately gotten crushed by some of the rubble in this area. Again, we will see as we go further on how everything here is, of course, collapsing and falling apart. It's not just everything just crams together and everything's okay. This, of course, is a peculiar weapon called the Aquamarine Dagger. Now, we just fought a Herald Legion here, which, of course, we will later find in the Ring City. It's, of course, interesting to note that this dagger is special in that not only does it have a blue sorcery color, it specifically has a skill for forming a crystal blade, turning this dagger into more of a longsword. The idea being is that this dagger is also, the crystals in this, magic crystals in this dagger, also has with it a engraving. Basically, it's sort of a, the idea being is that this was some, indicating in an old language that that they would be, whoever holds this dagger would be safe on their journey. Now, this is very interesting because, again, the point being is that, okay, so someone gave this as a kind of parting gift for the journey. Okay, so we're looking for someone who would receive a magic crystal dagger, which has been typically associated with Seath. And again, would make sense because, again, Seath is someone who would speak the old language, being one of the old gods of Anor Londo, the Duke. So this comes with a question. Seath is giving a parting gift to someone, and someone... Was that person with the dagger that someone that he gave it to? Or did they take it from someone else? I guess we'll have to find out as we continue onward in future streams. Hey Loki, hey Eric. How we doing? Now, look at that. I'm so glad that this area is so stable and nothing bad will happen. Ow. Thank God for this magic circle, which apparently helps me not die from fall damage. Even though this game has always basically ignored fall damage when it's convenient for rule of cool. Whatever. Oh, right. Now, as we can see, some of the enemies here have been completely consumed by their deep souls and will turn into that. Where are you? There you go. Perfect. Now, this area is supposed to be a part of Lothric's Grand Archives, though it's not one-to-one to any part of the archives we explore. Again, some artistic license has to be taken with how FromSoft reuses these assets in order to have us swiftly explore the Dreg Heap and get across its concepts. Another person unfortunately crushed by books. Again, Titanite Scale. Again, recall how Titanite scales could be found in the archives, and we found 3 in a chest. 2 more could be acquired from a crystal lizard who didn't have any twinkling Titanite, which is unusual for crystal lizards, because that was literally the original reason they were being created by Seath. So the idea is, of course, that these crystal lizards in this non-earthy environment are eating souls and presumably being harvested before they become the raving monstrosities that we see in graveyard areas. Obviously, the Grand Archives isn't a graveyard, and we don't see any of those monsters around, so it's clear that they're being killed before the transformation is complete, so to speak. So the idea would be the scholars are presumably perhaps experimenting on the crystal lizards to create them, or at least harvesting what the crystal lizard souls that the crystal lizards may eat from there. Again, recall how the books have lots of Seath souls in them. So that's something to keep in mind. So again, makes sense we might see more of these Titanite scales here if this is part of the archives. Murky Hand Scythe. Again, not really much to say here besides the fact that, yeah, corruption's happening. Go. It's causing them to have barnacles. Their bodies are all dried and hollowed out. They have flowers of stagnation growing on them. Lots and lots of signs of the deep. This poor sap. Twinkling Titanite, again, another thing that we see in lesser amounts at the archives. And of course there's the telescopes and everything else that belongs to the archives here. Here's our first look at a proper angel. Now these seem to be the perfect form, quote-unquote, of the pilgrim butterflies. Whether or not this is an alternate route they can take, or if it's what the pilgrim butterflies will eventually end up as, does not seem to matter too much. As we can see, they are somewhat insectoid. Whoop. And cast the magic as the same magic as the Angelic Faith, confirming that this is, in fact, the type of angel who Gertrude met and who taught her the magic of the quote-unquote angels, which she tried to spread to everyone else. At which point her followers ended up picking up her legacy from her broken scroll. Again, we're being told to head down here by Divine Blessing. Again, makes sense, we're in Lothric. Lost track of me, huh? Lightning Urn, again, we're in Lothric. We want to go here. Now, this seems to be a part of either Lothric Castle or the main city. It's hard to say exactly, because again, this isn't one-to-one to any area we can see in-game. As we can see, we have the knights, again, giving some respect to those who are dead. Now, unlike the Lothric knights we see in the past, and again, another indication that this is the future, we see how they have grown roots of stagnation. They are obviously hollows, they have dark souls, and so much like other hollows that we've seen turn into trees, they have too. They're just not dead yet. They are still doing what they did before they went mad, with the last bit of their instincts to protect what is left of Lothric. Oh. Now this one has a unique banner. It doesn't have its flag, but this flag seems to have been blessed by the High Priestesses all the same, as we can see holy magic used in order to summon an illusion of that flag with a similar effect as the real thing, essentially performing a miracle with a holy weapon, similar to how we see them perform blessed weapon without a catalyst through just their swords, which again are presumably blessed for that purpose. There we go. Woo! Thanks, mate. You skipped Lady Maria, casual. Lol, no. No, actually at the very beginning of the stream, we beat Maria first try. So yeah, don't worry, Eric, we did that. Yeah, unfortunately, I was muted, so look forward to going back in the VOD and watching me do that all silently. Don't worry, I gave the catch-up. I caught everyone up once someone alerted me of what happened. Anyway, as we can see, pews, respect, someone bowing here. Again, he's a knight like the others, yada yada yada. Nothing new and crazy here. Let's get rid of our friend. Now, as we can see, more of the knights. This is now, presumably, this is why I say this is perhaps part of some place in the city. Maybe at a church dedicated to the knights or something like that. Because as we can see, there are more of these knights, but this is a different location than the one with the barracks, where there's a Prince Lothric statue. Instead, as we can see, same, again, presumably this is repurposing the assets to have the Profane Capital Gargoyles here, unlike the Lothric statue, but the actual Lothric statue has been replaced here with a knight statue. As we can see, a cloth has been draped over it, kind of seemingly to kind of say that, you know, Lothric's been put to rest. Similar to what we see with the Cathedral of the Deep, where when they abandon Keitha and give up on her formally, they put a similar cloth covering up her image inside. Something seems to have similarly happened here, since Lothric has been put to ruins. Whoever's sane left here seems to have given it that last final rite. Now, as we can see here, next to some of the broken images, we see a not petrified, but a tree-like version of the Pus of Man. So we can see that even the Pus of Man can suffer the stagnation and eventually turn into this. Oh, it does. Still bleeds, even. That's funny. I don't think Pus of Man bleeds properly either. I have to actually double check that. That's funny little detail. But as we can see, has swords and stuff stabbed into it, so yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have to... Rusted coins, because it's Lothric. One of the store areas. Titanite chunk. Is there anything I'm forgetting in this area? Yeah, we're good. Nothing here. Guy in pew, murky longstaff. Illusory wall. We head upstairs. Find more rest area. Need to put on my offhand. Yeah, I'm gonna do the Alright, you're here. Oh. Sure, gang. Loki, do you plan on doing a playthrough of any other Soulsborne game? Yes, I plan to do Elden Ring after this. Because I need to get back to my Elden Ring playthrough, just because I want to play a Soulsborne game for fun first and for quote-unquote work second. Again, you guys are helping me keep this feel like a hobby again, so... Let's get the shortcut ladder down. A deep gem, because of course. Great soul dregs, because of course. Now again, this is the final form of the deep soul sorceries. Again, as we established earlier, a deep soul is either A, stagnant humanity. We got a few of those quote-unquote human dregs in the in Irithel. That term is more literally human stagnation. And then the other way we can get deep souls is through having these normal souls steeped in that stagnant humanity. That darkness will then consume them. They become the dark soul, purplish souls that we see. Though again, we also see them as a kind of deep blue color. Where is it? Should be under spell, so over here. There we go. So again, and then finally, eventually, that soul will be eaten away until it has none of that non-dark aspect left to it. It will only be a stagnant humanity soul. And that is what we see here, the ultimate form of the deep soul. Nothing else up here, right? Nope. Anyone else we gotta kill? Nope. Oh. I mean, you just had to say it. I would have known that you hate me so much. Again, everything's collapsing in on itself. Destroys the wall there. We'll go back to cross in a second. First, as we can see here, the Hollows of Londor that have died and are going through the phase. We don't see this in the base game because presumably going back to old areas to kill these guys was not obviously the intention on the developer's part. So they just leave those enemies just dead there. But the idea was presumably something like this is happening to those who become pilgrim butterflies as well. Though again, maybe not to the same extent as the pilgrim butterflies that we see at least, can at least die when it came to Dragon Slayer armor. So there may be, again, more qualifications to that. Point is, we can see how those who become angels have essentially a projection. It doesn't matter if you kill the angel, it will seemingly come back. It's hard to say if it's being created through dark power and just reconstituted fully, or if it's just kind of a case like us where it fades away because it quote-unquote dies, but then the game respawns another one anyway, and it'll be the same idea. Either way, whatever the case, the point is, the only way to truly kill the angels is to kill these pupas. This seems to be what the bodies here, they shed their old form, and they become these, they take on this rebirth in this new form of life. Why Londor is so obsessed with this, I could not tell you. But then again, it seems to be a way to have their servants perhaps embrace both the light and dark as hollows. Oh, Elden Ring. Oh, that's gonna be so much fun. That's gonna be long. I only got to, like, the beginning of Liurnia in my Elden Ring diary on Twitter, so, like, I have to really claw my way back all the way. We gotta go see off a river and so much stuff. Honestly, that's gonna be fun because you guys are gonna be able to probably inform me more because you'll give me the live update. Again, I've looked at Elden Ring's script, so I am familiar with a lot of stuff in the game, especially on the Japanese side, but obviously I've not memorized the script to the same level I've remembered so much of the other Souls games. So I'm gonna have to, like, do some, like, reading for every stream, just to read up on what we're gonna go through and what we're gonna cover. I may even have to do stuff live on stream, just to kind of check in on what I've got in my notes, my translation notes, but, like, yeah. There's a lot to show. Now here we meet Not Patches. Now, Not Patches here has lost his memory because he's a hollow, and naturally he's losing his memory.
Oh, look at you.
Turns out he's a nice guy.
You've got your head screwed on correct. Fantastic. To meet a kindred spirit on this god's forsaken crag. Call me Lab. I can't remember my real name, so let's just go with that.
Now keep in mind,
I have a feeling we're going to make a fabulous team. Oh, you'll see. You'll see.
now lap is of course I forget what language it is, but it's another word for patch. Now keep in mind, in Japanese, patches is called patch. And Japanese doesn't distinguish between singular or plural, so either translation works. Whether you call them patch or patches, doesn't really matter. Now, ultimately, in Demon Souls, they went with patches, and they've kept that consistent in all of their games, besides the one Armored Core game, where he, if I recall correctly, is just called patch. Anyway, the point is that it makes sense that a guy who's lost his memories may only faintly recall what did I go by? He thinks, again, lap, because lap means patches, so that's the only thing you can think of as far as names are concerned. Worth noting, of course, that we see architecture resembling what we see in the Consumed King's Garden. Though again, whether this is part of the garden or not, I couldn't tell you. Now we're not going to go that way. We're going to go this way. Now we know that there's a... Oh, damn, I dodge rolled into that. Deep? Deep enemy? You there? Deep adherent? I guess we lost him. Now, it's very nice of, good old Gale to leave these, friendly neighborhood, delayed on the spawn there. These friendly neighborhood little magic circles for us to drop down. I wish he dropped one here. Alright. Now, as we can see, there is a pool of the abyss that perhaps hasn't stagnated, from which this Herald Legion has arisen. The idea being is that he is, of course, he is, of course, using the Abyss to travel across time and space. Because obviously, if the Abyss has dominion over space, then you could theoretically use the Abyss to go anywhere where the Abyss is also otherwise is. That seems to be what's happening here. All these pools that are accumulating everywhere, most of them have been stagnating in the deep. This one seems to have not, but we will see, I think, some deep enemies arise from there, so who really knows? Make my life easier, because I don't remember if there's actually a survivable fall here. There we go. Now we will see more Lothric Knights. Oh, okay. Oh my gosh. Can I get these guys on the floor? Nope, they're too tall. I mean, too short. Oh. Oh. Oh my god, I forgot. You guys keep spawning until we kill the real one. Ugh! The mage, the summoner! He's calling him from the deepest depths. And he's gone. Oh, come on. You were supposed to take that. As you can see, they even bleed darkness. Projected heal. We'll talk about you in a second. You gonna stop spawning? Good. Alright. Again, because Miyazaki felt that you may not have gotten the point throughout the entire base game, partially because of the localization, I would argue, he gives you one final proof that Guinevere is the Queen of Lothric. As the point here is, again, the Caress and Bounty is referencing, Caress here is referencing soothing sunlight, the comfort soothing of the sun. Oh my god, you. Stop it. Stop it. No one likes you. Where was I? There we go, projected heal. So the point is, the idea is that they no longer know her miracles of soothing and bountiful sunlight, because again, she left. So they just basically try to create a story from their memory of her as she was leaving. They saw basically just her back, her retreating figure. The stories spun about her were most certainly childish and yet gravely sincere. Again, making the point that, again, it's crude, it's not as good as her actual miracles, because again, it's something that they're recalling from their imagery with a holy power, and they obviously, they're obviously, again, basing this, of course, on as she leaves. So the point is that it's not as powerful, but it's still sincere, so it has an actual power of a legitimate miracle. So no issues there. Oh, no. Okay. I forgot about the other one. Oh, dang it! Ah, we gotta retry this! Whee! What a nice old guy Gale is. He never do something like turn into a boss and kill us. Exactly. DX3 is the best version of Patches narratively and thematically. The character is amazing. I was kind of disappointed with the Elden Ring version there. He's very meh. To be fair though, Patches in Dark Souls 3 is sort of capping off the Patches of Dark Souls, and he's being used in a way to help cap off the whole series. Because again, he's basically Miyazaki's Cypher character, so he kind of uses him as a mouthpiece for the final stretch of this DLC, to kind of like give Dark Souls a proper send-off. So I'm not surprised that Elden Ring's Patches' questline ends up not being as strong, so to say. I'm sure it's decent, but I'm sure it's more like a Demon Souls or Dark Souls 1 Patches and not a Dark Souls 3 Patches. Let me double check, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Ring of Steel Protection 3. Now again, I don't put much stock into finding corpses with these +3 versions of rings. I really don't. Again, as you can see down here, there is Earthen Peak. Well, the Earthen Tower of Mytha from Dark Souls 2. Again, we see how that has been dragged into the Dreg Heap. Now, it's likely not been dragged from the present era. It's hard to imagine that tower being around as of Dark Souls 3's era. But I can imagine that was brought from an earlier time, and I will be explaining exactly why shortly. Though again, I still think it's probably far in the future compared to Dark Souls 2's era, for reasons I will make clear shortly. I don't want to deal with you. Listen, I got places to be. I got places to be, people to see, things to do, not involving you.
Oh, in all honesty, there's something I should tell you. I'm hollow.
Oh, he's giving it away.
Yes. I try to play it off, but I haven't a clue about my past, who I was, or what I lived for. Not even my own blessed name. That's why I've come here, searching for the Purging Monument. Said to be in the Ringed City, where the pygmies who found the Dark Soul at the Dawn of Fire reside. All I can say is, those little stones aren't doing much to help me remember anymore.
Now, as we can see, Patches, or I should say Lap, has been using purging stones to try to get back his memories, but they've obviously had a terrible effect in that he is losing, he's still losing his memory. This, of course, is interesting as it tells us that purging stones are not the end-all be-all. They do have their limits. Oh, okay. I should have dodged! Yeah. Let's do the ring. Just in case. And to be honest, this feeling for me extends to most of Elden Ring NPCs. I can't speak to that because again, I haven't beaten them all. My only problem with Elden Ring NPCs, from what I saw from the game, is I feel like their questlines are way too vacuous for how big Elden Ring is. I feel like there needs to be a lot more going on with them, a lot more frequent interactions than what I was seeing we got, and from what I've seen in dialogue that you get. It feels like the NPC interactions were designed for a normal Dark Souls game, instead of for Elden Ring. And I think that's where the problem lies. Alright, let's hopefully do this when the... Oh! I saw you! I remember you from last time. Let's hopefully do this when the other knight is not looking. In fact, I'm going to pre-do this because I do not want to deal. Alright, we can now focus on this boy. Alright, hide behind your shield. Ah, dang it. Not close enough. I want to see if I can try to get the critical. There we go. Weary Warriors, Titanite Chunks. Again, we're just going through standard stuff here. Nothing too crazy. It's just more Lothric Ruins, right? As we can see here, a knight. They actually used a knight corpse for this one instead of a regular corpse. I find that very odd because, again, it's a knight with a lower shield, so it seems odd that he would have the banner when we've only seen it with the High Priestess's guard. Again, very weird decision, but hey, you can do that. Okay, here's Gale finally telling us, okay, it's fine to jump here. Now, we want to go back there for the Herald stuff, but we will get our bonfire here first. I completely missed that magic circle, but I guess it has a bigger range than it looks. As we can see, as soon as we drop down, Lothric slaves are here. So again, we see how the Lothric, runes of Lothric that have overlapped here with Earth and Peak has led to the slaves all coming down here. The reasons for why will become obvious shortly. Let us know. I think that's 30 or maybe 40. That's 20. That's like 8 and 4K, I think, or something like that. So we're almost at a level up point. If we get like a few 10K more, like maybe like 40K more or something, we should be able to actually get it all. So alright, let's go deal with Herald Boy. Yeah, let's go to the beginning. Talk to Granny too, make sure she's okay. How you doing, old timer?
Strange little
Yeah. Inquire about the Ring City I heard about.
Why, where did you hear that name, love?
From some guy called
It
called
doesn't
Tin Can.
matter. I'll tell you what I know. The Ring City is said to be at World's End. Past this heap of rubbish as far as one can go. But you'd better think twice. The Forsaken Ring City was walled off by the gods to contain the pygmies. And the dark soul is better left well alone.
Alright, so we can see how she's giving us information about the Ring City. Again,
Don't run off and die, love.
as a High
Listen.
Priestess... Oh, nice review. As a High Priestess, it's possible that she does have some knowledge about the ancient pygmies and the religion. Again, it's hard to say how much of this comes from her time as a pilgrim of Londor, and how much this comes from her time as a longtime servant of the gods. Now, obviously, she's a Hollow now, and she was supposed to be with Lorien, and she was apparently with Lorien up until very recently, because as you may recall, the war with the Chaos Demons is still seemingly fresh for the demons, and it happens because of Lorien slaying the Demon Prince in large part. So because of this, and she knows about this story, she's heard about the Chaos Demons from Lorien herself, because again, she's his nanny, his surrogate mother. So the idea that she is, of course, here as a Hollow is curious. Now, it's possible that being an old lady, she just ended up croaking, she happened to turn undead, and then she got exiled, or what have you, and she didn't end up being kept around, at which point she ended up falling into becoming a Hollow of Londor in the time between either the events that we see in the present era and the future here. Now, one of the issues that we have with with determining this, of course, is the fact that she seems pretty chill about everything. So yeah. Anyway, we don't have to worry about anything from her for a while.
What?
Yeah.
You're not well, that's just fine. It's a rare thing to have a true duty.
Yeah, purpose.
Don't go and take it for granted, I suppose. Won't do any better than this. Not you, or that poor Tin Can. You're not willing. Well, don't.
Blah, blah, blah.
Don't listen.
Yeah. Yeah, Lothric slaves have good taste. Yeah, that they do. I'll be honest, I don't want to go through all this again, so let us Fix our problems. Let me do this. There we go. We'll switch it all back when we get there. We're gonna do the stealth run for this one. Proto stealth run. Now, for those wondering, I will be doing my New Game Plus playthrough of Dark Souls 3 intermittently here. Basically, whenever I'm trying to get screenshots for something, or I'm playing, like, or maybe I need to want to do some farming or some random shit as part of that, I will do so. And just, like, have the live stream going, and you guys continue asking questions or whatever. But I'm not going to make it a big... Yeah, actually, we didn't need to go through that. We can just do this. I'm not going to make a big deal about it. Because, again, I think we're doing fine. We'll be doing Elden Ring as I guess, the quote-unquote scheduled stream. Oh. Oh, whoopsie. Whoopsie. I dodged it without even looking. See? I am a god. Take that, old hag. Now, as we can see here, more hollows who've turned into trees, this time reaching for the bottom over there. Again, everything is being dragged into this bottom epicenter, which we will be seeing as we progress to the end of the DLC. In the meantime, we see that more pilgrims, much like those seen in the opening cinematic, are traveling through this ash, despite everything, before they end up falling and dying. Some of them, of course, as we see, already in the state of becoming angels. Oh no, we cannot deal with this. I think that would have hit me if I wasn't careful. Dang it! And I got the stun like I planned, too. Oh my god! Stop having so much freaking damage! I know I'm not wearing my armor, but come on! There we go. As we can see, all the roots of the growing from stagnation on him. All that humanity. Homeward Bone. Yeah, buddy. I don't blame you. Now, you gotta wonder how Gale gets down these places in order to place these magic circles for us. But I won't question it. Dang it, I still missed it. Sometimes you want me to jump, sometimes you don't. Again, we can see the Lothric slaves here, setting the tone for the area. As we can see, there are still the poison horn bugs from Mytha's place that were brought along with the tower. Again, these were originally native to Dark Souls 2 setting in Dreg, but they were dragged in, and we see them invading the habitat of the Faron Forest. Black fire bombs. Also, notice how the windmills have been properly made wood, so they can logically be burned, retroactively fixing a continuity error from Dark Souls 2. And about Corpse Party, will you leave Yuka there until next year? Come on, Loki, this is cruel. Listen, Yuka was an annoying little shit that entire Let's Play. She can wait an entire year with Psycho Boy. We can trust him, I'm sure. He will keep her safe. Promise.
Oh, I know who you are. Great to see you still in one piece. God, I can see why they call this the Dreg Heap at the world's end.
Yep, for sure.
Mangled remnants from every age and
every land.
Yep.
It actually sort of lends credence to the old rumors that the ringed city rests below it all.
Oh boy, does it.
Don't mind me. You needn't worry yourself with this nonsense. I just wanted to tell someone.
Gale, it just
I was
works.
sick of old Humpty.
It's got to be a running joke for the year. Yeah, feel free to. I like it.
I'll make it up to you.
Meanwhile,
I live in
Yuka.
ruins of sorts. Past here, you'll find the remains of a giant earthen tower, half submerged in a poisonous swamp. Not a very nice place to visit. Only there's precious treasure in the thick of the swamp. I didn't have any use for it, you see. So, sorry, I left the whole package behind. If I get the chance, I could go fetch it for you. But if that's too long to wait, go nab it for yourself. I know who you are. A righteous warrior. Yes? With a solemn duty to boot. Well, grab that treasure. That's as good a duty as any.
So we see how Patches still has some element of himself, but with divorce from his memories, he's actually a decent person. So he remembers the whole stuff about treasure and going to grab it and telling others to go grab it. But he's legit someone who's like, hey, if you don't, I'll go grab it myself for you. I don't mind. I'm a good guy now. It's sort of interesting to think how Patches, divorced from his circumstances of living, of course, as a thief, who was, of course, having to deal with uppity clerics who are obvious hypocrites, constantly persecuting him, as well as just the general standards of dealing with nasty, naughty people, and just having a general hard life before becoming undead. It's interesting to see who he has become since then. Now, angels will shoot these spears until they can't, at which point they will instead cast a curse. Again, giving us the idea that despite this looking like light magic, they are in fact using dark power. Oh! Killing those poor Lothric slaves. How could you? You are so cruel. Oh. I do not look forward to seeing the gargoyles in Elden Ring again, considering they're just copy-pasted these enemies. Ay, ay, ay. Desert Pyromancer garb. Now this is interesting because it tells us that these characters we're looting from are presumably, Desert Pyromancers. So the idea is that there's a bunch of of the Mytha's servants or their descendants, as we will soon find out, dying here. Is it this way? Oh my gosh. Stop it. Come on, curse. Okay, fine, whatever. I could have swore it's over here. Am I crazy? Oh, it's over there. That's why. Yes, yes, fine. I'm dodge rolling. I'm dodge rolling. I see. I see. Oh. Gosh, you guys are tanky compared to your other counterparts. Amber. Now, as we see, we go through more of the architecture of Earth and People. Oh, you summoned another friend. Yay. As we can see, the horn bugs have gotten busy killing... Whoop. Angelic Rain of Curse! You're trying to eat my soul. No. More Desert Pyromancer set. my gosh. Alright, it's time to just speed run to the... We'll explore this area proper once these bozos are dead. Yes, 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 you ganged up on a corpse there. We'll talk about that shortly. I don't even care about the poison. Literally, last thing on my mind. Oh. Gotta go this way. Yes, 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 I get it, I get it. I get it, you wanna... Die! Twinkling Titanite. There we go. Now, let's get the other one while we can. Which direction is that? Is it after Zoe? It's after Zoe, isn't it? Okay. Zoe, I don't want to accidentally kill you, so we're gonna do the stealth run. So that way I can just walk by you. So please cooperate, my girl. And I guess we are gonna get rid of the poison then, because I don't want to have to deal with this while trying to avoid Zoe. Love my slumbering dragon chest ring. Screw you. Right through the head. Yeah, that better kill you. Prism stones, because why not? We need to get a shot of Zoe, so that way I can add her to the Lothric Slaves post. Because I never got a good shot from her last time, because she died. Like, come on, girl. No, I'm not crazy. Am I? Isn't the way to the pupa around here? Or was I on the right track with the... Oh, with the other thing. Whoop. Well, not on the right track now. Now I'm on the dead track. Oh well, we'll continue the stealth game through the other one. Just keep running, just keep running, just keep running, running, running. Just come out of nowhere, why don't you? Totally cool. Yeah, you kill them. Let's make sure, because we have to get here, right? No, it's over here. Yeah, it's over here. Yeah, so... Actually... Now, I don't want to risk that drop when, Oh! I'm not around! Okay, so we gotta find a little mountain pass to go under. There's a small branch you gotta jump onto. Yeah, okay, I am right. I am right, it's a branch. It's just not the one that I was taking. Gotcha. Let's get my souls first, and then... Now, as we can see, a lot of these buildings. Now, if you recall, in Dark Souls 2, there weren't any of these houses. These are copy-pasted assets, I think, from Undead Settlement. But the point was, of course, that there were, in fact, wooden structures and stuff with windmills for helping pump up the poison, with which would be mined and brought over, at which point it would be pumped up to the, to Mytha's chamber for her baths. The idea being, of course, was that the pumps sort of act as a sort of medieval-style oil pumping system, except, of course, it's not pumping up oil, it's pumping up the poison. Which, as we see, releases noxious fumes. So yeah, we have to take a branch, you said, right? So we gotta go around here. But before that, we will instead... Yeah, that's... might cost... No, we're not gonna get poisoned. There we go. We shall go this way. No. Actually, yes, let's go this way because we can. I'm not gonna die if I fall off a branch here. Just Titanite chunk, don't care. Woo! While we're here, I'm going to try to get my, I'm gonna try to get my darling, Zoe. I think that's enough for us to check after the fact. That might have been exactly what I wanted. The Lothric slaves didn't just glitch out totally, so we might be able to get something out of this. Again, another Desert Pyromancer stuff. So again, notice how Zoe, as we learn, is a descendant of the Desert Pyromancers, meaning that she isn't one of the OG generations that we necessarily see in Dark Souls 2, and that there are others who are dead here. Now, presumably, of course, they're all dying and stuff because, you know, Dreg Heap, not an easy place to live. But it gives us the idea that Zoe is alone. Now, the Lothric slaves are trifling, again, as they're called in, I think in the localization or what have you. But again, the idea is that they're small, they're lowly, they're unimportant. Okay, yeah, I think I get where we're supposed to go from here. So, they're not something that you want to, they're, oh, whoopsie. They're not an entity that would be given any importance. However, it seems that Zoe is giving them their time of day. Now, it should be noted that Desert Pyromancer's whole shtick was that they would trick men by essentially acting all kind, seductive, and loving, much like an escort. But unlike one of those women of the night, she isn't there to kill them, to take their money, or to do anything. She, quote-unquote, has no poison. The idea seemingly being that she's just a good person. And so they end up just simping for her because, again, she's hot, she's pretty, and she's a legit nice lady. She's the perfect woman. I don't think this is the branch, right? So... yeah, you can climb that branch. And I don't think it's this one up here. Or is it? Maybe it is. Let's see. Oh! What the hell are we doing here? Is this it? No, just a divine blessing. Is this the path then? Okay, this looks... yeah, this looks right. Okay. I'm just gonna assume that this is the right way. There we go. And soon we will be able to freely look around here. Now, 1 second. Perfect. I assume you could also jump down around here, but I didn't want to risk it while I had all those souls waiting. Even if I didn't want to waste a ring of sacrifice either. Again, notice how, as we can see, everything's being dragged down. This tree here we see at the bottom. You can't really see it from this angle, but this is also where we can start seeing undead settlement stuff. It's probably more visible over there. Suffice to say that we're going to have to go all... Oh! Okay, something died. Well, whatever. We can now go to the shrine. Water is the greatest thing that the Lord ever invented. Hentai. Eric, why are you doing this to me? How am I the pervert? Ay, ay, ay. What did I do? What did I do to deserve that label? We want to start getting through our souls, so 20k. Okay, so this is 20k. So what's the regular Crestfallen Knight, like 15? Oh, it's 10. Okay, so I got my math wrong. This has to be 8 though, right? Yeah, this is 8, and then the other one's like what, 4? Oh my god, we don't have as much as I thought then. Actually, Friede, you've got to have 20k souls, right? Yeah, there we go. We're almost there. Just gotta sell a few things. What's the exact number? 5229. So as long as we get over the 229. Look at all that stuff from farming. Oh. Anything cheaper we can sell? That's too cheap. Herald Legion stuff, no. God. Stuff is worth crud. Whatever. It'll be this. Alright. More for the faith. Now, I don't know why I'm putting my stuff into faith. Because we're not going to be able to use it against the demon prince, but I'm hoping my intelligence will carry me with some sorcery. Yeah, let's finish exploring the area now. If anything, we may save demon prince for next stream because we started with Friede. Again, if I killed Friede last time like I thought I would, we wouldn't have to worry about this whole mess. But I did it. So now we gotta put demon prince for possibly next time. Let's go this way. Still doesn't mount the amount of silver knight gear you can get from farming for the Dark Moon Covenant. That's very true. Farming for covenants is it's an entire beast unto itself. I tried getting some Dreg Heap no, what's it called? Shackles, vertebra shackles from the Carthus skeletons, and after like farming for like 15 minutes, I was like, no, I do not want to do this for like 60 of these. So I think if I recall correctly, I asked someone to get me a picture of what's it called, the katana sword, and let that happen. God, I need more water. Sorry, give me a sec. Very good. Now, am I worried about poison? No, I don't care. As we can see, these horn bugs gang up on enemies, such as these pyromancers. It's clear that they were not expecting to come here into the Dreg Heap and deal with all the foes here. Now, the end result of all this, as we can see, is that Zoe's alone and the slaves have a new simp queen. However, it isn't just desert pyromancers here, though it does give us the indication that the pyromancers from Dark Souls 2, after the death of Nympha, essentially formed their own settlement. Again, notice the houses here that seem more for residents instead of what we saw with the mines in the original game, and how the pools have seemingly just kind of, well, drugged up on their own. Oh, we have to go that way. Should have gone there. I shall correct my mistake. Notice all the cow bones. Again, things that would make sense for a place that is trying to raise livestock and the like. Trying to eke out a living. This does have some potentially ominous implications for the women, though, because if they are having kids, that means they are doing stuff with men. And considering their personas, there's the Ring of Favor. There's my child. That's the one I want. Let's put this here. Put you here. Oh my gosh! I can use this! Yay! Okay. I am... Once we get the Havel Ring, I'm so gonna start investing into Vigor again. Or was it Vitality? It's Vitality, right? Vitality's the body power, right? Yeah. For those wondering what's the difference between Vigor and Vitality, because you guys think it is similar, I think I mentioned this in an earlier stream, but just to clarify. Vigor is the life power, and Vitality is your body power. So that's why it deals with your equipment weight. The idea is that your body, you have a stronger body that can bear more, such as armor and stuff. Whereas your Vitality stat is dealing purely with, of course, your raw life. Hence why it just adds to your HP. Average water enjoyer. Listen, I like my water. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't resist. This is... Oh, come on. Oh, come on. We can't get a giant big... Oh, no, we did. We got actually a decent AoE on that. Not on you, though. Weary Warrior. Honestly, I might have been premature on using those souls. Just because I'm getting more of them, and obviously I'm killing more enemies, so I'm not sure if it's actually worth it. But whatever. Oh no. Is that another Herald Legion I hear? No, it isn't. Good. Every 2 shots seems to get you. Perfect. All we need is that Mimic now, and I can get my Mimic head, and then the true farming can begin. We'll keep going this way. I have enough Estus to not care about the poison, so we're just going to ignore it for now. Or Titanite Chunk. Now, this body is the most important one to me. As you can see, it has been surrounded, cornered, and killed by these nasty little buggers. Go away. Go away, Satan. And he wears, apparently, a loincloth. Now, presumably, this is just the loincloth, because unlike the cases where we get different pieces of articles, presumably to spread out the set and show multiple enemies have it, this is part of a particular set, which resembles to an Ulyssilian would wear. Whoop. Now, for those wondering what's the difference between this and the other loincloth, this is more of a Japanese style kind of loincloth that is very traditional that you could see wear. You can often find them a lot by like sumo wrestlers and things like that. Some use them as swimsuits, which is relevant because, again, it would give the impression that our boy here, who's apparently wearing, or maybe girl, you never know. Ooh, there we go. The idea here is that you find all sorts of things here at World's End, but we know that this is dealing specifically with the Ulasilian commoner set. So the idea is that your common Ulasilian would wear clothes like this. Now, of course, Ulasil has been a long-destroyed country, so the idea that someone from Ulasil is here really hits home how much the Drift can literally grab people or places from anywhere. That someone from Ulasil managed to somehow end up here in the Dreg Heap. Now, again, as I said, I assume that the person basically stripped down to go skinny dipping in the poison pool, or maybe just to trudge through it, because it would be easier with it's not just the loincloth, it comes with the shoes. So to kind of just be like, whoopsie daisy, and then they did it. Now we'll see someone who wears the rest of the set, though they don't wear the underwear part. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure if that's intentional on the developer's part. Others who've looked into the game files have said the same, but I'm going to hold that off until we get to that boss fight. Herald. 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 Oh, he's coming after me. Okay, sure. Yeah, you do that. Oh! Sure. Herald Curved Sword, yada yada. We shall continue. Now, I think we've covered everything here. I think we covered the rooftops. So I think it's just the Zoe area now, right? If so, I'm set. And we're gonna let Lap get the item for us because he's such a nice guy. Oh. I'm not poisoned, am I? No, I'm not. Again, I don't mind losing this for now because the more important thing is getting the shots with our dear... Oh. Oh. How did I not take damage? What was that? Game, are you doing okay? That should have killed me, or at the very least put me to like 0 health. No 1 HP. Feels good, man. Yeah, it's not like I put on like the cat ring. Alright, I guess we're gonna use this. Average water enjoyer. Again, notice how these quote-unquote bodyguards to Zoe use fire weapons. Again, kind of cheeky little thing they got going. Wait, is that a deep weapon that you're using? I'm gonna have that analyzed. I don't recall your swords glowing purple like that. But again, that would make sense, because again, there's lots of deep here, so you can totally imagine the slaves actually using the deep power. I did not notice that before, but that's good to know. Alright. I think we got enough from Zoe here. Oh! She forgot about me. Cool. We'll just keep her alive in case those shots weren't any good, and we will kill her next time. all she's got is that pyromancy fan thing, so I don't mind waiting. We're not getting lapse things, so we'll ignore that area over there. I don't think there's any other items we want there either. Not that I see. We only care about the bonfire over here. Yes, sir. Just to be safe. I don't want to risk dying at this point. Look at that. Gale takes us here. I kind of made it in. Does that count, Gale? Apparently it counts. I think it's poison the simps they approach. You guys are great. Now, we are ready to face the demons down here. Now, you may recall that the hag only mentions one demon. Again, Japanese as a language can be very vague with singular or plural. So, for example, when Kyaran's blades are talked about in her hornet ring, it doesn't clarify if it's 1 or 2 blades. But as we learn in the DLC later on, it is in fact 2. This type of stuff happens. So again, the hag mentions only one demon, but again, her language doesn't require her to specify that there are in fact 2 that she's hearing down there. Again, make of that what you will. I'm just trying to point it out there that it isn't an inconsistency or some rewrite or whatever you want to spin it. However you want to spin it. Now again, as I said before, we can clearly see assets of the undead settlement have been copy-pasted below the assets that are copy-pasted from Lothric. I am not assuming it is either of these places in the background. I would only assume that it is just more kingdoms and lands and towns and cities and castles and all that are mentioned in the dialogue. So, nothing strange there. We got all our magic circles helping us apparently save us, though there's no magic circle for that drop, and I don't know how we survived that one. Again, at some point you just gotta accept that it's a video game. But I am satisfied with where we are here. I think we're gonna... Tomorrow we'll handle Demon Princes, and then we'll start on Ring City. Hopefully we'll get as far as Shira. And maybe even get to the Abyss area, hopefully, right after that, because we want to get the bonfire there. We'll see how far that goes, because it depends. I don't know how difficult it's going to be for me to do this boss fight with melee and sorcery, but we will change my loadout, so we're using Pestilent Mist instead, and we're going to cheese the boss, I guess, to some extent. We'll see how that works. Otherwise, I guess we could always go with, like, standard sorcery. Because there I have 40, right? And I think I can use pretty much... Yeah, I can use most sorcery, so... It's not the biggest deal if we have to, but... I would prefer to just Pestilent Mist the enemy. We're definitely going to Pestilent Mist mid-ear, because F at mid-ear. Awful boss. Anyway. That will have it be done for today, everybody. Thanks for staying tuned, even as you didn't hear any audio while I was playing for the first 20 minutes. Oh my god. I will make sure that doesn't happen again next time. Bye!